Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Welcome. I'm so glad you can join us on Mission Evolution. If you're interested in the latest knowledge from today's leading experts, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour will explore stress as the hidden force eroding our lives. In modern culture, stress has become such a part of day-to-day life, many of us don't recognize its devastating effects. There is increasing evidence that stress impacts our overall health and well-being more than was formerly understood. Where does stress come from? Who suffers from it? What are its hidden effects? Most importantly, is there anything we can do to mitigate it? With us this hour to consider the destructive, if hidden, impact of stress is Dr. Brian Alman. Dr. Alman received his Ph.D. at the California School of Professional Psychology and is one of the world's leading authorities in the field of mind-body health and wellness. Through his private practice in Southern California, his books, workshops, and videos, he specializes in stress care with a unique and effective approach that works. His website, drbrianalman.com. Dr. Alman, thanks so much for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Thank you for inviting me, Gwilda. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's just a joy to have you. And this is such an important topic right now, I think. With everything going on, seems like the stress keeps getting piled higher and higher, and we don't have the tools to deal with it. So I'm really excited to work with you on this one. So tell me, you went to school for psychology.
Yes.
When and how did you get interested in stress in particular?
Well, we all grow up with stress, right? So in our families, we see stress and we see the ways people cope, both healthy and not so healthy. And so, of course, I was aware of stress growing up. I watched it, went through my own traumas, divorce in my family. There's alcoholism in my family, mental. I mean, there's stress in my family. And when I was going through school, getting trained in mind-body healing by the world's expert at the time, I was also lucky enough to meet a very close friend who was starting to do a study all about stress. And I started to share with him my techniques of mind-body healing, and he shared his research. As it turned out, now 3 decades later, it's the most comprehensive stress assessment on the planet. It's in 100 countries. It's in almost every healthcare, psychology, medical community. So all of the treatment solutions I've been doing all these years and my collaborators' research have really become the hallmark of understanding stress, mental health, emotional health, physical health. And it's called the ACE study. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And as I said, now millions of people have taken it all around the world. And that's really become my passion, my purpose. And thank you, Dr. Folletti, one of my original friends and still a very close friend, collaborator, because he is the co-principal investigator of now the world-renowned ACE study.
Amazing. Yes, and I've heard of it, so I know it's world-renowned.
Right.
So we're on the same page with everyone. Would you mind defining stress as we're going to be working with it here today?
Okay. Stress is actually a normal reaction to adverse situations. So a family stress, parents with your kids, adults with your parents, things go wrong, things are difficult, work stress, money's a big one, health stress. So anything that is an adverse situation, certainly COVID fits into this, political problems fit into this, Ukraine fits into this, difficult adverse life situations, we have a response to those. We have a physical response. We have an emotional response. We have a mental, psychological response. And Gwilda, I know you care a lot about this. We all have a spiritual response to stress as well. So it's fight or flight. Oh no, I got to get away from this, or I got to fight with it. This freeze, do nothing, just shut down, pretend it's not happening. Okay, there is relax, but to get to the relaxed response to stress really takes going through a few steps because you can't just relax when
Right.
stress
And
is
just
happening.
force it on.
No.
So, and I really want to get into that deeper a little further down the road here, but is there such a thing as good stress? I mean, I watch my grandchildren, and they go to school all day, and they're super achievers, and they're very brilliant. Of course, they're my grandchildren; they're going to be brilliant, right? But then they come home, they grab a bite to eat, they run off to football practice. It's run, 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 and it's all good stuff, but it's stressful, isn't it? And how does good stress impact us?
Right. Well, there is good stress. I work with professional athletes. You need a certain level of stress and intensity to want to perform at your best, do your best. But there's too much stress where you get tight and close down and don't do well. So it's like medication, meditation, mindfulness, self help. There's dose amount. I mean, you can have stress, but too much stress isn't going to be good for you. You can have relaxed, but too much relaxation isn't even good for you. You actually have to perform and connect and be in the world. So it's dosage. Like too much medication will be a serious problem. It can kill you. Not enough's not going to work. Just the right amount. Well, okay. So it's really similar. That's a good analogy because stress is like that. Some stress is healthy, like your kids, grandkids running around doing excited, friends, sports, school. There's a certain amount that's really fun. It means you feel alive when you feel some stress. But if you get too stressed, too worried, like with tests or performing in a game, they will get, like all of us, we get tight, we close down, we shut down, and we really don't perform nearly as well. I mean, employers know this. It's called presenteeism, where people are at work, but they're not performing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
know, yeah.
it seems to me that stress has been such a constant for us. It's certainly, as long as I can remember, there's stress. um, and now, of course, it's impacting even more so because we have all the added upheaval that we've been dealing with that you mentioned, including hurricanes coming down our necks and everything else. How can a person, I think people overlook the fact that stress is building up on them. How can they start to recognize that they're getting too much, that overload you were talking about, that
Right.
overdose?
Right. It's people are reporting now that they are more stressed than they have ever been before in their lives. So the surveys, the polls, all of them have been taken, and people are reporting being more stressed because of money, because of COVID, because of the world conditions, political situations, even natural disasters. But people are reporting being more stressed than ever. Typically, it's interesting, Gwilda, most people ignore their stress until they start to get the body signals. So they can be nervous and not feeling good about work or their relationship or themselves or their childhood issues and sort of push it down, maybe drink too much, maybe eat too much, maybe do drugs too much, maybe check out, avoid things too much. And then they get, oh, I've had these IBS stomach aches for years. I don't know what it is. Oh, I've had chronic migraine, tension headaches. I don't know what it is. I keep getting sick and I'm not getting better. I don't know what. So typically, people will do the best they can to avoid it and ignore it until their body starts to communicate, hey, I got some signals for you. You're trying to avoid what you're really experiencing mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm going to give you a signal and you're going to not sleep well and you're going to get stomach aches and you're going to, and then let's see if you'll listen to me. You can't keep using your body as a receptacle, a junkyard for all your stress and think it's just going to go away. It's going to build up and get stronger and stronger till it takes revenge.
So the other thing that I've noticed, it's like some people, they don't deal with stress at all. Just a little tiny stressor, and oh, it's the end of the world. It's drama, trauma. And I think, what are you going to do when something real happens?
Right.
And then there's other people, like a lot of your emergency workers. They just drop into this zone, and
Mhm.
it's got to be costing them. Okay.
It's true.
What makes a difference? What's the resilience factor here?
Well, it's interesting you would ask that question, Gwilda, because one of the things we learned in the ACE study is that the word resilience is oftentimes completely misunderstood. People would say, wow, that person can go to work and they just moved to a nicer place and they have a car and they have a job. That person's so resilient. You know what they've been through? Their family story, their life, it's been terrible. They're so resilient. Turns out that on the outside, they are resilient, the car, the job, the money, etc. And on the inside is oftentimes a completely different story. An example is one of the people in the ACE study, a woman who became a Superior Court judge, Mary Bullock, and is spoken about it, wrote a book called Judging Me. She had an ACE score of 10, which means
Oof.
she had a horrible upbringing,
Well,
catastrophic, incredible.
we're
But
gonna
be
have to we're gonna have to go into the what the score means and all that fun
right,
stuff on
yeah,
the other side of a station break.
right, but becomes a Superior Court
Doc,
judge.
doc,
And yeah,
Dr. Al, Dr. Allman and I will return shortly, so
okay.
don't you dare go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Hello again. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. With us this hour discussing the hidden impact of stress is Dr. Brian Allman. His website, drbrianallman.com. Dr. Brian, we were just getting back into the study and what these scores mean and how it relates to resilience. Would you mind picking up there?
Yes, that was an exciting story. Is the Superior Court judge who, as I said, and we'll go into this, she had an A score of 10, which means she had a very difficult upbringing, but gets through law school, becomes a Superior Court judge. So she has all of the wow, she has a great job, so impressive, a car, a house, all of that, and husband, everything seems so good. But in further looking at what's going on, because the outer resilience seems so wonderful, and everyone said she's so resilient, and she talks about this in her book, Judging Me. She had 5 different cancers.
Oof.
Two are, and nobody really has 5 cancers. I don't know if any of your viewers even knows anybody that's ever had 5 cancers. It's extraordinary. 2 autoimmune diseases, and that's extraordinary also. So
So,
in
Dr. Allman, does that come from internalizing rather than processing the
Yes.
stress?
Yes. The more we push things down and use our bodies like a junkyard for our stress and our emotions, the more difficult it is for all of our functions to work normally. We actually learned in the study that people die 19 years earlier, so they lose a lot of their lives by not dealing with their stress. So, stress, as we've spoken about before, Gwilda, stress can be really difficult, whether it's COVID or suffering in the family, going through a loss, grieving. That's all so difficult. It's all how we deal with the stress, though. Do we cope with overeating, over drinking, over medicating, all of those? Or do we learn how to cope in ways that are healthy, really respectful, really emotionally truthful, and do the inner work that might take this much time, but it can save you a lot of years and give you a
So,
better quality of life too?
so what does that look like? So, stress is a fact of life, and
Right.
it's not like we can sit down and contemplate our navel in the middle of it. Okay, you have
Right,
to feel.
right.
So then, as I understand what you're saying,
Yes.
we go into we sit back, we go into it, we deal with it as best we can, but
Mhm.
then most of us go on with our lives without ever revisiting, or what do they call in not deprogramming. Anyway, recapping
Yeah,
the situation
right,
and dealing with how we felt about it.
right.
How do we remember to do that, and what does that look like?
Right. So you basically, there's 2 approaches to stress. One is on an as needed basis. Like right now, I am stressed about, now, how can I deal with this? And we can talk about exact strategies that work. The other are the underlying issues. our childhoods, going through a divorce, going through a problem at work, going through money issues, going through problems with your kids or your parents, and health problems. So all of those things. So there's the underlying issues, the things that really require more focus, more attention, more time. There are exact techniques that work beautifully for that. And then
Now,
there are,
aren't those kind of hard to uncover though? Because it's something that we've stuffed in the closet as children, actually. A lot of it, isn't it?
it is, a lot of it is, it's really not difficult to uncover. It's really interesting. It's quite available because people think about it all the time and feel it all the time, even if they keep pushing it down. You push down, it comes back up. You push down, it comes back up. You can't really push it down and keep it there. You'd have to drink constantly and overeat constantly. People do end up weighing 800 pounds, and
Yep.
people do end up drinking a quart a day of alcohol. People do take a bottle of pills a week. So some people have learned they want to just keep it down and really, sort of abuse their bodies. But you have to realize all addictions, whether it's overeating or drinking or pills, those are as much solutions as they are problems. Those
It's
people are
just
actually,
not the
yeah,
healthiest solution you could come up
right.
with, right?
But
So
yeah,
when we are coping, we develop coping mechanisms, and you've just listed some of them: the drinking, the overeating, the this or that. But what about the workaholism? That can look pretty good on the outside, and we're driving ourselves and creating more stress, aren't we?
we are. And that's a very good example of the judge's story, too, is on the outside. What a hard worker. Wow, so impressive. Look at that. Oh, that is so great. And on the outside, just seems resilient and capable, and what a great breadwinner. On the inside, it's most often a train wreck where the person has so many issues, cardiovascular issues, maybe other ones from cancer to autoimmune. I mean, the body, it can't do what people are putting it through. It really needs care, like spiritual, mental, emotional. We need care from ourselves. And if we're not caring from ourselves and we push, stress, push, we're all going to pay the price. We're going to pay for it. Everybody knows that. We just hope, oh, I'll just deal with this now. Maybe I'll get sick in 10, 20 years. I'll worry about it in 10 to 20 years.
Yeah. And then
I
the
know.
10 and 20 years is here. So
Right.
you've been talking a lot about putting it in the body. Is that pretty much our default, or are there other ways we can tell?
Well, that's one of the best signals that things aren't right because we feel, and it's hard to hide from pain in our head or our back or our stomach. It's hard to hide from that. So that's one of the most obvious ways that stress will signal itself. But it also signals itself for most people with sleep issues, that people just don't sleep well. They wake up a lot, they can't fall asleep. They wake up, they can't fall back asleep, they're getting up too early. So sleep is very common as a signal. It's basically sleep is like heads and tails of a coin. How you're doing during the day is how you're going to sleep. So if you have a healthy, peaceful life, you're going to sleep healthy, peaceful. If you're a stressed person and you're dealing with too much, you're overwhelmed, you're thinking too much, you have too many worries, it's going to come to you at bedtime and it's going to impact your sleep. So
So
sleep is a very good indicator as well.
what's the physiology behind that, Dr. Alman? The issue with sleep corresponding with the stress of the day.
Right. So when we're stressed, there are like a chemical cascade, whether it's cortisol or adrenaline or our sympathetic nervous systems. It takes a lot to always be worried and always be thinking and overthinking and over worrying, even if it's about legitimate concerns like somebody you're worried about and love and they're suffering or you are. So stress really is tough on the body because it triggers all these chemical responses, and then we do things to try to keep it down, which really doesn't help much. And then it gets overloaded, and then there are the stomach aches, there are the sleep problems, there are the headaches.
Putting out fire with gasoline sort of thing.
Right.
So
Or
so
going
how
to a fire and bring big fans and thinking if you bring big fans and blow the smoke away, that the fire will go out. But you can't put out a fire by blowing the smoke away. You actually have
Right.
to get to the fire.
So that must be where the blowing smoke expression came from, right?
Right.
So when we have a day-to-day stress, how much of it is what's happening in the moment and how much of it is haunting us from our history?
Right. Well, let's just say it's something that's happening right now that we're worried about, like something with money or health or work. So it is a real stress right now. But the amount of underlying issues, the amount of history we have with stress from our childhoods will be like the bucket's already full of stress. And that one thing just pushed me over the top. And so I'm just going crazy right now. I have to cope in very ugly ways because I just got to put it away. So the history and the underlying issues will determine how triggered and how big that trigger is in the everyday stress.
Is that what has us acting out of proportion to the stimulus at hand?
Definitely. For example, even some of the extreme cases, like some of these mass shootings and in the schools and the kids doing that, these are people that have had deep underlying stress issues from their childhoods and their families that just get worse as things get difficult, but they don't happen all of a sudden. There's a real long history that goes back with all of us that is either going to push us to do things that we shouldn't be doing for ourselves or to other people, or make us more caring, kind people, depending on our
So
histories. Yeah.
so when a person starts to build up to the point that they're starting to distort, like you were saying there, do our perceptions actually distort? We see the world in a different way?
Right, absolutely. So when we're stressed, when we're in pain, when we're catastrophizing, oh, like you said, that person, oh no, this could be terrible. The sky is falling. Oh no, everything's going to fall apart. It's terrible. What are we going to do? That kind of catastrophizing is really difficult for a person to cope with. And you start to see everything as what's wrong with this world, what's wrong with them, what's wrong with you, what's wrong with me. It becomes your perception of reality is really focusing on what's wrong in the world, which unfortunately can be the majority of people walking around focusing on what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with people, what's wrong with humankind. People are bad, people are mean. That reality is actually quite common.
Well, we're going to have to pick up with that reality on the other side of yet another station break. But I think this is pretty fascinating. I think we're seeing a lot more of this than what might be first meet the eye, in that everybody is seeing through their own filters and reality is getting lost in the interim.
Right.
So, Dr. Ullman and I will be right back to continue this very important discussion. So, you stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Hi there. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're bringing you the latest information to assist your evolutionary process. With this hour discussing hidden stressors is Dr. Brian Alman. His website, drbrianalman.com. Dr. Alman, we were just getting into how when we have so much backlog of stress from adverse childhood experiences and a life of living with them, probably it compounds itself, that we get to a point when our reality is distorted and we start dropping into a negative mindset. What impact does that have on us, and how can we recognize that's what we're doing?
What we're perceiving in our minds actually is what we're experiencing in our body physiologically. So when we are in a mood or a mindset or a stress level where we're focusing on what's wrong with other people, what's wrong with ourselves, that actually has a physiological, neurological response. Everything gets tight, everything closes down, everything gets into more of a coping survival place. So it's difficult for people, and you start to feel that way and think that way and perceive that your reality that way over days and weeks and months and years and decades. It becomes you.
Well,
And
does it start to really reduce our tools? In other words, it sounds like we're going into fight or flight. And what do you have
right,
there? Fight or
right,
flight? You don't
right,
have problem solving. You don't have spirituality. You don't have love.
right.
Um, and it seems to me like there's more people in that condition right now out there than there are not.
Right. It's very interesting, Gwilda, the way that you just put it, because people are oftentimes, us, we know, we are either in a coping mentality when we're stressed out. I just have to deal with this. I have to figure out a solution. I got to cope. What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. So that is a closed fight or flight, figure it out. What am I going to do? Got to figure it out. Versus what you just were alluding to, which is in a more relaxed, you've been dealing with your stress, you've dealt with your childhood issues, you're in a much better place. You're in more of a creative place, and you're in more of a, oh, I can enjoy my grandkids. Oh, I can enjoy the mountains or the day here today. So typically, physiologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we're either in a coping place, or I got to deal with things, I got to make things work, things aren't right, I've got to figure it out. Oh no. Or a more creative, open, imaginative, connecting, more spiritual place. So it's really, that's what happens to us. So when we get stuck in that, I'm really stressed, what am I going to do? That's really where the work needs to begin. You need to do something about that, because you can get better. We can all get better at a nice pace. There are exact techniques to get well, or we can just stay stuck there. And of course, there's a part of us inside that just says, do what's familiar, do the same old thing, don't try anything new. No, just keep doing what you're doing, keep suffering in silence, don't tell anybody. Remember what you were raised with. Nice people don't talk about difficult things, so keep it inside. That's the handshake agreement that all kids are raised with in families, is nice people don't talk about difficult things. So that means, as you said earlier, Gwilda, people are internalizing, they're repressing, they're stuffing, and that becomes normal.
So it sounds like, it's kind of like a one-way street. How do you turn it around in the moment? What's a nice tool that you can
Right.
offer people to start stopping
Okay.
that downward spiral?
Okay. So one thing I can tell you for sure, having taught in dozens of countries, medical schools, graduate schools, written 14 books, I can tell you one thing: you can breathe your way through anything. Yes. All you need is an exact technique that's tailored to fit you, because there's not just, oh, just take a deep breath. Oh, that didn't help. Take another one. Oh, that didn't help. So
And
it's
pretty
not,
soon you've hyperventilated,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So it's not like a public path or a formula where people say, oh, just breathe. There's probably nothing worse when you're stressed and really uncomfortable and somebody says to you, just breathe. What do you think I'm doing? I'm breathing. Can you say that I'm alive? No, no, you need to just breathe. Take a deep breath. All you want to do is tell them to shut up and go away. So you can breathe your way through anything. You just need exact techniques that are tailored to fit you. And there are wonderful techniques that are easy to learn that can help kids from preschool to, I've taught this to people from 2 years old to 104 years old. And everybody can learn it really quickly. So that's one answer, just to get through those really almost impossible moments. Yeah. Do you
So
want to know what?
it's like, you have to train before you hit the road. In other words, before you get into that stressful situation, you need to have developed a repertoire of breath work. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
really, all you need is one technique that works for you. All you need is one technique that works for you. You can use it over and over again. It'll help every time. It'll always work. And so, no, you all you need is to be open and receptive. Be watching your show. Be open to being healthier and happier. All you need is openness, and the techniques are really easy to teach. I can teach you right on the show. So.
So what's the um, physiological evidence behind it? What goes on in the body when you take those breaths? When you start you learning as a practice and using it for
Right.
stress?
Well, names, from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, back to the sympathetic nervous system, from the cortisol to the dopamine. I mean, this is a chemical bath when we're relaxed, just like there's a chemical bath inside when we're stressed. There's brain waves when we're relaxed that are very different from when we're stressed. I mean, all of us, I mean, we have trillions of cells inside. And That's amazing. And the most powerful pharmacy in the world is in between your ears. So being able to tap into your own inner pharmacy, whether you think of it as psychiatric, psychological, meditative, prayerful, wherever your reference is, there are wonderful approaches that can get you physiologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually present, relaxed in the moment. And so, yes, if you are very stressed, you are going to have to practice your breathing technique a lot of times today. Now, if you have been stressing yourself and pushing your feelings down and internalizing things for years and decades, it's probably going to take you years or a decade to really unravel and disentangle from all of that. I mean, think about it. You practice being stressed and internalizing and pushing things down for 60 years. You really think you're going to be able to turn that all around like an on off switch? I mean,
We can always hope, right?
right. You have millions of practice sessions of not dealing with things. It's probably going to take thousands of practice sessions to start to deal with things effectively. So you have to be realistic. It's not an on-off switch. It's more like a making like a dimmer. It's more like making progress, as opposed to I'm just going to go from being a stress case to a relaxed person. Well, that's never happened. I'm going to go from a negative person to a positive person. Well, that's never happened.
Well, that sounds like that river in Egypt, right? Denial. So you said something that I thought was very interesting, and I would like to ask you. You're talking about this pharmaceutical storehouse that we have in our head. What happens when we're using pharmaceuticals, antidepressants, anxiety, all that fun stuff? What goes on there? Does that help or does that hinder in the long run?
Right. Well, oftentimes, and anybody knows that has been depressed or anxious or is depressed or anxious, that there are medications that really help. My colleagues, my partner is a medical doctor. He has the MD, I have the PhD, and I have witnessed and seen, experienced the benefits of medication really helping people. Now, again, like we talked about earlier, well, there's dosage, there's how long do you do it for? And it's I have just noticed it's helped people a lot. So you take it as long as it's helpful. And then there may come a point, and often does, where you don't need it as much. And then you don't need it at all because you're developing these skills, these abilities. So that's the goal. But I always tell people if it's going to help you and it will make a difference, definitely take it. Don't suffer. Yeah.
So is it like taking a little piece of that calm so that you can recognize it, but then not using it as a cover up so
Right.
much as giving you a ground zero. Oh, this is what it feels like. Now, what do I have to do to get here on my own?
That's a very good way of putting it. It's sort of like it lowers the ceiling so you don't get as high, anxious, worried. It brings up the floor so you don't get as down and depressed. So it kind of gives you a more narrow, a more limited, not so high, not so low. The thing is, when you limit yourself, sometimes you don't get as happy and as joyful. So there are like side effects, like all medication has side effects. So then what you want to do is learn the skills, deal with the underlying issues, the causes, the root causes of your stress, so that you can start to be more comfortable and more relaxed. And then you can get rid of the ceiling and just have the sky there. You can get rid of the floor, just have the earth there. So there's progress to be made when you take medication, and you don't want that to be the only thing you do because that's not going to work. That will not help. You
Isn't
need
that the key? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You
Yes.
need integrated approach. You basically need to do everything you can to feel better and get healthy and be open-minded. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, it's that magic moment. It's time for another station break. On the other side of which, we're going to get into more wonderful tools with Dr. Alman on how to deal with our day-to-day stress. So please stay with us. Dr. Alman and I will continue to explore how to combat stress in our lives on the other side of this break. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Welcome back. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org, your source of information and support while navigating our rapidly evolving world. Our expert guest this hour is Dr. Brian Alman. His website, drbrianalman.com. Dr. Alman, there was something that, again, that you alluded to that I'd like to go into a little deeper. And you were saying about being present.
Mhm.
So many times when we have a stimulus from the outside that's stressful, we do what I call take it and run. In other words, we add to it all the other things we have to worry about from our history, and then blow it up into something really freaky. If you're in the present moment, does that help with that? And how does one become present?
Well, typically people have one foot in the past and one foot in the future. So they're thinking, oh, I know how things have gone in the past, haven't gone so well. I don't know if I trust this person. I don't know if I should do this. I know what's happened to me before. Uh, and then they go in the future. So I know what's going to happen again. I know what's going to happen in the future. Yep, that's going to happen again. So typically people have one foot in the past, one foot in the future. That is most people
Do,
predicting their future based on their past.
can I interrupt just for a
Yes.
second? Because that brings up a real interesting question.
Yeah.
Do we indeed then create that past in our future?
Oftentimes, that's a very good point, Gwilda. So, based on what we've experienced, you're right. We project and imagine, and sure enough, self fulfilling prophecy, we actually contribute to it happening again because that's what we expect. That's what we're looking for. And so, sure enough, the past becomes the future. So, it just reinforces that one foot in the past, one foot in the future. So, another alternative is to have one foot in the present, which takes some inner work and takes some skill building. Get one foot in the present and one foot in the future. So we're more present, we're more relaxed, we're more spiritual, we're more open minded, more receptive. And we start to expect and anticipate, well, maybe things in the future will be better, different than they were in the past because I have one foot in the present and one foot in the future. So that's a healthier approach to everything. Now, your
Is
question originally was, can I live with both feet in the present? Can I be both? And that is a very good place to be. It's hard to stay there, though. Let's face it. Things come up. We get concerned about things. So, yes, it's really good to spend some time every day. People physically exercise, but they don't mentally exercise. So, spend some time being both feet in the present and develop your internal abilities to have one foot in the present, one foot in the future.
So when we're in the present, isn't that our power place? I mean, that's the only place we can make a change from, isn't it?
It's not the only place. It happens to be the clearest place because we're not distracted by the past and we're not distracted by the future. And everybody knows they don't get as much done because they're constantly distracted. So being fully present means you have less distractions. Doesn't mean you don't have any because they will come. But having both feet in the present and being more present, you'll have less distractions. So you'll be able to get more clarity, come up with more creative ideas. And so it's a very positive, receptive place to be, even when things are difficult and you're dealing with hard things like family, people, work stuff, money, all of that. Being fully present does make dealing with everything more comfortable. It doesn't solve everything, doesn't make everything all better, but it's really a very good place to discover your own best answers, which is where you're going to find your best answers are inside yourself. And if you're in the present, you'll have easier access to discovering your own solutions, which is connecting with your most powerful pharmacy in the world. I call it your inner doctor. Yeah. Inner wise woman, inner wise man. Yeah. That happens when you're in the present.
So fight or flight, isn't that the condition where you're one foot in the past and one in the future and neither one's looking good?
Exactly. And as imagine doing the split, one foot in the past, one foot in the future. It's pretty hard to do a split walking around in everyday life with one foot back there and one foot up there. You have to pretend that everything's okay when you're actually walking around in a split position. I mean, unless you're a contortionist, that'd be very difficult to do.
What percentage of our population is doing the splits right now?
The majority of people, have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and the majority of people are focusing on what could go wrong, what might go wrong. I mean, it's makes sense. There's a lot of things that do go wrong, so you can see how people get stuck. focusing on what's wrong with their life, what's wrong with other people, what's wrong with business, what's wrong with inflation, COVID, politics, global, Ukraine. It's very easy to focus on what's wrong in the world and get stuck with one foot in the past and one foot in the future. It takes a real concerted effort. It takes a lot of inner strength. It takes some real skill building to get unstuck from the traps of getting caught up in what the news is convincing us is true, and our own worries convince ourselves, and probably our family members convince us, and our childhoods probably had some convincers that, you better be careful. What could go wrong. There's a lot of what could go wrongs when we're being raised. Yeah.
It seems like we're conditioned into this condition, if you
Right.
will.
Yeah.
But it's been my experience when you're around someone that is present, even though you're freaking out, it can really have a grounding effect if there's somebody present. There needs to be an adult present. You hear that a lot. But if there is somebody present, just holding space in the
Mhm.
in the present moment,
Right.
the people tend to respond to that. And how does that happen?
I love that, because in a way, that's what I'm experiencing with you and your show, and what you do is you create this space for people to really be able to kind of look at things differently. So you are actually one of those influencers, or one of those people, Gwilda. Everything is contagious. Emotions are contagious. Negativity is contagious. Positivity is contagious. When we are around somebody that is present, feels good about themselves, helps us feel good about ourselves, it is contagious. It's just, wow, that person's in a good mood. I saw how they dealt with that. That was really interesting. See how they dealt with their kids, their grandkids. See how they dealt with their parents. See how they dealt with their problem at work. Wow, it's contagious. Same as if somebody is, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this, and I'm so mad about that, and I'm so frustrated, and you leave that person and you're like, God, I'm so frustrated. See that guy cut me off? See that guy driving? Oh my God, I can't believe that person at the store. Oh my God. So it's,
It's a form of resonance, isn't it?
yes, it's, they're actually called mirror neurons, where we mirror what's going on physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually with other people to ourselves, and vice versa. So when we are in a stressed out, unhappy, critical, one foot in the past, one foot in the future, focus on what's wrong with people, we are influencing a lot of other people without even realizing it, because it's contagious. But as you were pointing out, the opposite is true. When we're present, more at peace, more relaxed, more accepting, more curious, more open minded, that's also contagious. And
That's a really, really good argument towards doing the work because you're not just helping yourself. Dr. Alman, this is about the time in the show when I have to ask, what is your mission?
my mission is to facilitate people helping themselves towards being healthier and happier. That is my number one priority, is facilitating people's inner wisdom, inner doctor, inner wise woman, inner wise man, so that they can develop their inner potentials and contribute to the world to make it a better place.
What's your vision for the future with this work?
Is to get this to millions, billions of people, to be able to reach as many people as possible, to teach them the skills, the actual proven scientific evidence-based skills that we've learned over decades in the ACE study, to be able to get this to as many people in as many countries in as many ages as possible. And that is my mission. I am staying with it, and it's happening. I can see how much more accepted it is, and how many people are accepting it. And it's really very gratifying. But the
Well,
work
we're
is done.
we're
Yeah.
just about out of time in the show, but I really would love to have you tell people where they can find you, where they can find your help, where they can find your books.
Okay. So the 14 books, basically from the ACE study Gwilda and I have been talking about, they're all on Amazon. They're all at my website, drbrianallman.com, Brian Allman, and at my business website for employers and healthcare providers, truesage.com, like True Sage. That's the word, that's the name, because I want people to discover their own inner true sage, their own inner doctor. So at truesage.com or drbrianallman.com if it's for you personally, True Sage if it's for your business, and Amazon and Google and all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn,
All
Twitter,
those fun
all
places.
of those places. Yes, I believe in getting to as many people as possible, Gwilda, to teach them skills and techniques to help them help themselves. We have an app coming out that has the ACEs and all the skills right there, right
Well,
available. Yep, coming soon.
unfortunately, we are out of time. Dr. Ullman, thank you so much for all you do and for coming on the show. Our guest this hour has been Dr. Brian Allman. Through his private practice, books, workshops, and videos, he specializes in stress care with a unique and effective approach that works. His website, drbrianallman.com. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. For more information or to enjoy past archived episodes, visit www.missionevolution.org. Please be sure to join us right here next time as this mission continues, bringing information, resources, and support to our rapidly evolving world.